Today, as we all gather here under the banner of National Commission for Women and the Nagaland State Commission for Women to address this critical shadow looming over our society, we are here to talk about stalking and cyber stalking. These are modern plagues that threaten the freedom, dignity, and safety of our women and girls. The objectives and the mandate of Nagaland State Commission for Women is a singular, urgent, and deeply critical to the fabric of our society. That is to confront, understand, and build an unshakable defense against the growing threats of stalking and cyber stalking. In the second session, in the technical session, our most respected panelists will be speaking on the relevant topics in a very in a very technical way. For generation, traditionally, we view our Naga society as a very safe haven where communities protect one another, and protecting our community meant guarding our physical perimeters like our villages, our homes, and our public streets. Today, however, every individual carries an open gateway to the entire world right in our pockets. That is our mobile phone. The rapid expansion of mobile connectivities across our hills has brought immense opportunities to our doorstep, but it has also brought an invisible, borderless threat directly into the private sanctuaries of our women and girls and the children. Technology connects us, but it also gives predators unprecedented access to our private lives. Stalking is no longer just a shadow following someone down a dark street in Kohima or Dimapur or in different villages. It is now a persistent digital intrusions following victims directly into their homes, your rooms, living inside our smartphone and disrupting our peace 24 hours daily. A cyber stalking and stalking manifest through relentless unwanted messages, constant monitoring on social media, unauthorized tracking of location, and the weaponization of personal data. This psychological toll is devastating. It creates deep anxiety, constant fear, and strips individuals of their sense of personal agency. It is a gross violations of fundamental human rights. According to the latest Crime in India report published by the National Crime Records Bureau, NCRB, Nagaland proudly retains the lowest rate of crimes against women among all states and union territories in India. Our state records 56 cases of crimes against women. Here, I would say this statistic is not an accident, but it is a direct reflection of our cultural heritage. It reflects our traditional Naga societal framework that naturally emphasizes community protection, respect, and communal security for women. We honor this position. Also, we recommend and commend our community leaders and law enforcement for maintaining this baseline of physical safety. However, this low physical crime statistics hides a dangerous emerging paradox. While our physical streets remain statistically among the safest in the nation, our digital spaces are becoming increasingly hazardous. We are seeing a distinct localized upward trend in special and local laws violation, driven by heavily electronic and digital misconduct. The nature of harm in our environment, in our society today has evolved. A perpetrator no longer needs to physically stalk a woman or a student or a children through the streets of Kohima or Dimapur to destroy our peace of mind. They do not need to cross our physical boundary to violate our privacy. Through the medium of a smartphone or AI, a cyber stalker can track a victim's real-time movements, monitor our personal associations, flood our communications channels with unwanted harassment, and weaponize our personal images, all while hiding behind a completely anonymous profile from miles away. Today, as we have many participants here today, let me cite one regional case study to understand how this statistic manifests in real life. We must look at a pattern that our state cyber sales and our commissions are observing with alarming frequency. Let us consider the case of a young student, a very recent case, a young student from one of our prominent college right here in our Kohima town. Like many young people, like many young girls or young boys, like you all who are seated here, she used social media to share snippets of her college life, achievements, and everyday routines. Her open digital presence caught the attention of an anonymous individual. What began as persistence, likes, compliments, and comments quickly escalated. The individual began sending hundreds of direct messages daily, tracking her location by analyzing the background of her posted photos and showing up at the exact cafes and transit points where she frequented visit in town. The harassment peaked when the stalker used easily accessible artificial intelligence tools to manipulate her public profile pictures, morphing her face into explicit images. He then threatened to distribute this fabricated image to her family, church community, and college's peers unless she complied with his financial and personal demands. The psychological toll on this young girl was devastating. Out of sheer anxiety and fear of social shaming, she stopped attending classes, withdrew from her friends, and fell into deep depression. It is an This case highlights a brutal reality cyber stalking. And this cyber stalking is rarely an isolated event. It is an entry point for identity theft, extortion, and profound emotional trauma. It also demonstrates that our traditional community safety nets fail when the attack happens in a digital realm that families do not see or understand. As today, again, I'm stretching on the students who are present here today. Of many agencies and the department and the law enforcing agency, I want to emphasize more on the institution, that the role of educational institution in addressing this crisis is very, very important. Our schools, colleges, and universities cannot be passive bystanders. Educational institutions must serve as the primary vanguard against digital harassment. Our campuses are where young people spend the majority of their formative years, and they are also the primary targets for cyber predators. Institutional safety policies must be completely overhauled to recognize digital spaces. A school, colleges, universities, and institutional anti-harassment committee must treat cyber stalking with the exact same gravity as physical bullying on campus. Any institution must establish clear, anonymous, and trusted reporting mechanisms where students can seek help without fear of academic exposure or administrative judgment. Every student must graduate or go out of the college, schools, and the universities knowing that unauthorized tracking, morphing images, or sending unsolicited messages are serious criminal offenses under the Information Technology Act and the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Also, very important thing is that the institution must bridge the gap between students and the law enforcement. Today, the Nagaland State Commission for Women is calling for a localized campaign to teach basic digital hygiene across every district, school, town, wards, and village council. Our young women and the girls must be taught how to actively manage their digital footprints, lock down privacy settings, and recognize tracking software. Also, strengthening legal enforcement and cyber infrastructure in our state is very important. Our law enforcement agencies must continue to strengthen specialized infrastructure such as the State Cybercrime Police Station headquarters. We must utilize national frameworks, including the financial and technical assistance provided under the central government's cybercrime prevention against women and children's scheme to expand our cyber forensic capacities and training laboratories right here in Nagaland. Today, I want to appeal every rightful citizens that we must also eradicate the culture of silence and shaming. We must understand that cyber stalkers rely heavily on isolation. We must completely dismantle the culture of victim blaming, and a young woman's private data or altered image are circulated online. Our families, churches, student bodies, and traditional institutions must offer absolute protections, institutional support, and swift legal action against the perpetrator rather than social judgment. Distinguished guests and citizens of Nagaland,
Today we are addressing a deeply pervasive yet often trivialized violation of human dignity, that is stalking. Stalking is a pattern of repeated and unwanted attention or contact that causes fear, distress, or emotional harm. It can include following someone, repeatedly calling or messaging them, showing up uninvited, monitoring their activities, or making unwanted gifts or threats. What may seem like persistence to one person can be frightening and very dangerous to another. Stalking is a phenomenon which could turn out to be a frightening experience for any person. A nuanced understanding of the phenomenon will help us to know what might motivate a stalker. Paul E. Mullen, in his book Stalkers and Their Victims, has categorized stalkers into five categories on the basis of their psychology. And these five stalkers are rejected stalkers, resentful stalkers, intimacy seekers, incompetent suitors, and predatory stalkers. In the modern Indian legal parlance, we have transitioned from a society where such predatory behaviors were dismissed as harmless pursuits to one that recognized as a severe life altering crime. Under Section 78 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, in short, I'll refer to as the BNS, the Indian legal framework explicitly recognizes two primary categories of stalking. Firstly, physical stalking. That is when a person repeatedly follows, contacts, or attempts to contact another individual despite a clear, visible indication of disinterest, and the other is the cyberstalking, which is the malicious monitoring, tracking, or hacking of an individual's use of the internet, email, or any other form of electronic communication without consent. Currently, stalking remains a bailable offense in the first instance, which frequently allows offenders to return back to the society quickly and poses a continuous threat to the victims. Under the current statutory definition, the perpetrator is strictly identified as a man. In an age when digital harassment and physical stalkers are gender neutral, our law must evolve to protect all citizens equally, regardless of gender. We must actively unlearn the toxic cultural conditioning often perpetuated by popular media that glorifies persistence over consent. Prevention goes beyond the courtroom. It requires a holistic societal and institutional shift. Individuals must be educated on how to document and report repeated unwanted intrusions before they escalate into violence. The first crucial legal step in building a case is giving a clear, documented, and unequivocal no to the stalker. Preventing stalking begins with respecting personal boundaries. We must understand that no means no, and everyone has the right to feel safe and secure. Healthy relationships are built on trust, respect, and consent, not on control or obsession. Physical stalking has been now replaced by virtual stalking as a result of the pandemic. As there are so many applications like stalkerware, spyware, social networking tools, and other technologies available, stalking people has never been easier. The internet has opened up a medium for quicker communication and data sharing. We may interact with each other and access one another's information with a simple click on social media sites. On the other hand, technology includes loopholes that allow criminals to abuse the freedom of access, leading to an increase in cybercrime in India. Cyber stalking, also known as online stalking or internet stalking, is one of such cybercrime. Simply described, cyberstalking is the harassment of a person through the use of technology, particularly the internet. Monitoring someone's online activity, threats, identity theft, data theft, forging their data, and other forms of harassments are all examples of harassments. Cyberstalking is the repeated use of the internet, social media, email, or other digital platforms to harass, threaten, intimidate, or monitor someone. It can happen through fake accounts, abusive messages, constant online surveillance, or sharing private information without permission. We are living in a hyper connected era where our lives are no longer confined to physical spaces. Our digital footprints are vast, and our presence online is as real as our physical existence. In India, while physical boundaries have always been guarded by the law, our legal machinery has repeatedly evolved to penalize the digital predator, bringing the offense of online harassment into sharp focus. In India, the law has adopted remarkably to encompass and criminalize these digital offenses, particularly Section 78 of the PNS, which deals with stalking. Further, our legal arsenal is also supported by the Information Technology of 2000. Despite these legal provisions, we face significant hurdles. The borderless nature of the internet, jurisdictional complexities, and the rapid pace of evolving technology often make it difficult to trace offenders. Besides that, the lack of digital literacy and the stigma associated with online harassment prevent many victims from reporting these crimes. The right to privacy and the right to live without fear are fundamental rights, whether in the physical world or in the digital realm. The Indian legal framework has laid the groundwork to protect us, but the law alone is not enough. We must stand together, break the silence surrounding cyber stalking, and hold predators accountable. We also have a responsibility to be respectful online. Think before you post. Avoid spreading rumors, and never use technology to intimidate or harass others. The internet should be a place for learning, communication, and positive connections, but not fear. By staying informed, protecting our digital privacy, and supporting those affected, we can also play a role in preventing cyberstalking and making the online world safer for everyone. If you experience cyberstalking, do not respond to the harasser. Instead, save screenshots and other evidences, block the person, and report the behavior to the platform. If the threats are serious or they continue, report the matter to the law enforcing agencies immediately. Speaking up early can help prevent further harm. In conclusion, I am very hopeful that today's program would go a long way in educating our people, especially our youths, on prevention of stalking and cyber stalking, with the expertise and engaging presentation of our reputed resource persons present here today. I wish you all the best in today's day-long program. Thank you.